The graphic design rule of visual gravity is more important than ever in 2025. As a graphic designer, you might have noticed some glaringly obvious problems. One being AI-generated templates and designs flooding the internet. Everything is starting to look, well, the same. Then combine that with high-speed scrolling and limitations of small screen layouts. Subsequently, most designs then at a glance become forgotten. But if you master this one rule, this will not be an issue for you anymore. So visual gravity, as a graphic design rule in 2025, has 4 key parts. And the first part is scale, but crucially these days, scale plus motion. So traditionally, scale has been one of the most powerful tools in visual gravity, where larger elements naturally pull the eye first into your design. It's why hero images, bold headlines, and oversized call to actions have always anchored layouts. But in 2025, motion has started to be used in conjunction with scale, and this really does cause that initial pull into the visual gravity rule. As you can see on this design, the static version does pull the viewer in with obvious scale in the middle of size, but the animated version is just simply, well, next level. When scrolling fast or presenting this design on a portfolio to a client, it's obvious which one would get most attention, and in the right way. The key is pairing scale with subtle, purposeful movement to create strong visual pull, especially across mobile screens and fast scrolling environments. Even micro interactions like a gentle scale in, pulse, or directional shift can help anchor attention. When used correctly, motion doesn't just decorate a layout, it reinforces hierarchy and it makes a gravitational pull feel intentional rather than just chaotic. Now, the second part of the graphic design rule of visual gravity in 2025 is contrast. But not in the traditional sense, this is contrast 2.0. For years, we've relied on contrast through light and dark, color pairings, and size differences to direct the viewer's eye. And that still works, of course. But in 2025, visual gravity demands more nuanced forms of contrast. So things like texture contrast, motion contrast, and even the contrast between AI-generated elements and human-crafted design. Take this example here. The background uses clean, uniform gradients, calm and processed, while a single textured, grainy hand-drawn shape sits front and center. The contrast immediately draws you in. It feels intentional, personal, and real. Or you can consider animated contrast, where most of the layout is still, but one element subtly pulses or morphs. That movement breaks the rhythm just enough to re-engage the eye. Another emerging form of contrast in 2025 is conceptual contrast, where the polished, machine-like perfected AI-generated visuals are interrupted by something that feels more human, more flawed, or emotionally expressive. So think of a hand-drawn shape or a candid photo, or even uneven typography placed within a layout that feels overly clean. That kind of contrast doesn't just stand out visually, it creates emotional depth as well. And in a world full of perfect looking designs these days, what actually can grab attention is the imperfection, something that feels real, something raw and unpredictable. But in practical terms, think of contrast in 2025 as multidimensional, not just about what stands out visually, but what stands out emotionally, materially, or rhythmically. Designers who layer contrast across these levels, visual, tactile, conceptual, create stronger gravity and a more lasting impression. In 2025, people shouldn't just be skimming visuals, they should be feeling them as well. When everything is competing for attention on a technical level, one thing that actually holds the eye is emotion. And this is where storytelling, expressive typography, and intentional brand tone become your strongest gravitational tools. Take this design here. The layout is solid, the colors work, but what really pulls you in is the emotive image of the subject. It could be the typography that feels handcrafted, imperfect, and human. It's not just what the viewer sees, it's what they feel. Maybe it's a nostalgic piece of design that reminds them of their favorite book, or a muted color palette that evokes calm and trust. Modern brands know this. That's why you're seeing more tone-driven campaigns in the advertising and marketing world. For example, the water brand Liquid Death, they've really gone to town on humor and non-conventionality. So take a look at a snippet of this advertising video and you'll know exactly what I mean.
Marketing bullshit. Water is not yoga. Water is liquid death. And that's why this brand needs to exist. To finally give water the ice-cold can and ice-cold name it deserves. A brand that parents will hate, but kids might love.
Liquid death, mountain water.
Made from the deadliest stuff on earth.
So yeah, the humor and emotion driven in that campaign makes the brand stand out and stick in your mind. Because in the end, people remember what made them feel something, not just what looked clean. And if your design can connect emotionally, even for a few seconds, it creates a stronger gravitational field than any gradient or grid ever could. In 2025, people have been conditioned by apps, social platforms, and mobile interfaces to look for interactive elements, so buttons, swipes, toggles, tap zones. Even on static designs, we're subconsciously scanning for signs where to click, scroll, or even take action. These expectations have created real gravitational zones where the eye is pulled not by visuals alone, but by behavioral habits. This is called interactivity bias. Take this for example, a bold call to action button in the lower third of a design. Even if it's not animated or highlighted, our eyes are trained to go there. That region, thanks to years of app UX, is a hotspot. So what does this mean for graphic designers and not just UI designers? Well, it means that your layouts should anticipate how people expect to move through your content and use visual cues to reinforce that. Arrows, chevrons, highlighted buttons, even ghosted tap zones. These aren't just interface elements anymore. They're behavioral gravity wells. And if you're designing a poster for a digital campaign, a social carousel, or even a portfolio slide, placing visual emphasis in these expected zones will help the eye land and move with purpose. So to recap, visual gravity is the design rule that gives your work structure, flow, and focus in a world that's visually louder than ever. In 2025, with attention spans shorter and templates flooding every corner of the internet, it's not enough just to make something look nice. You need to lead the eye, and every element in your design should serve a purpose in that journey. But that all depends on the brief, of course. And the four key forces of visual gravity are scale plus motion, contrast 2.0, emotional gravity, and interactivity bias. And these are what separate forgettable designs from the ones that make people stop, feel, and then remember. And luckily for you, here's a pro tip. The next time you finish a design, just take 3 seconds to glance at it, just like a viewer would on social media or in a presentation. Where does your eye land first? Where does it go next? If you can't answer that clearly, there's a break in your gravity somewhere. Fix that and your design won't just look better, it will work better. But if you want to continue to grow as a graphic designer, simply click that video on screen to learn some more crucial skills and information. And until next time guys, design your future today. Peace.